I'm Alan Kinney, Editorial Director with REIT.com, and we're in San Francisco for REITWorld 2013. Joining me is John Cullins, partner with Ernst Young LLP. So John, about 20 years ago we saw a lot of commercial real estate companies coming public through the IPO process. A lot of people attribute that to the establishment of the UPREIT using operating partnership units. Can you explain to us why this was such a catalyst for the growth of the industry?
Realistically, I don't know that we could have had the transformation that we had that's really started 20 years ago from private to public without the operating partnership structure, because it allowed owners of real estate, private real estate, that had really low basis. Many of them had perhaps owned their real estate for years and had just, perhaps done 1031 exchanges, had a lot of built-in gains that, quite frankly, to incur a tax liability in connection with the formation transaction, they would have had to have the cash to pay the taxes. And you start pulling the cash out of the transaction, it makes it difficult to make all the numbers work. So it was an opportunity on a tax-deferred basis to move, to transform from private to public in a way that continued to align the interest of the sponsors and the public coming in. So without that tax deferral aspect, I don't see how this would have happened.
And how are companies using OP units today?
Well, they're still using it as acquisition currency. It's a wonderful, flexible tool. It's really not that complicated. I mean, from the standpoint that it's still just fundamentally a partnership, and you're talking about people that can contribute their properties into a partnership on a tax-deferred basis. That's well established, and so you're seeing it now. Even still, the people that look at it and say, I'm interested in diversifying. I'm interested in perhaps having an interest in a broader pool of properties, but I really don't want to trigger my gains, trigger my taxes. And so you'll see some people even do it for estate planning purposes. So to set it up where perhaps over an extended period of time, that might be deferred and go through their estate. So you're still seeing it today used. We've gotten a lot better at it, right? I mean, for 20 years we've kind of perfected, we know how to do it, but still a lot of the same basic motivations that were there 20 years ago are there today, that it's a great and flexible deferral tool that allows you to contribute your assets into an UPREIT partnership and in effect have an interest in a much larger pool of properties.
And how about maybe hedging or other uses like that?
Well, whether it's hedging or whatever it may be, you just step back and say you're going from an interest as a private company in perhaps a small pool of assets or maybe one or two assets to having an equity interest that's well thought out, well defined, well understood in a much broader pool of assets. And so that gives you the ability to use that equity interest, that equity security in a variety of ways. It could be in some type of collateral transaction where you're using it in that sense. You can use it in other financial transactions that are well established and well understood by the financial community. And it's because they know it's gone through the rigor of having that the operating partnership structure that's been well vetted. Everybody understands their rights, and so in effect, it just gives you an opportunity to utilize some of the financial techniques and structures that are out there that in a pure private context, people just probably wouldn't feel comfortable doing. You just don't have the standardization and the transparency around it.
All right, well, thanks so much for your time.
Oh, you bet. Enjoyed it.
And for more on this and other REIT news and analysis, be sure to check out REIT.com.